Behalf of Operation Rock, I am Clayton here to talk about a topic that has become serious to many Americans. Self, gender is not the issue. Gender is the issue, but I would say race is not the issue. The issue is more whether or not if you are a protected class that law enforcement chooses not to acknowledge. Today, we're going to talk about litigation abuse, or vexatious litigation as it is legally called. And vexatious or a litigation abuse is the practice of filing false police reports, frivolous lawsuits, or just endless family court petitions against someone that are false for the main purpose of keeping them before the court, financially damaging them, or simply just trying to ruin their lives. This is something that's been employed on me now for about 2 years. I dated a woman out of Staten Island, New York, by the name of, her name is irrelevant. Many people who watch my podcast now know who she is, so it doesn't really matter who she is. The only thing I believe matters now is exactly what she's doing. And what she's doing is she's harassing me by using vexatious litigation, false police reports, endless family court petition, municipal complaints to simply keep me before the court so she can harass me. Now, this is not something that I asked for. I broke up with this woman about 2 years ago. God, I thought it would be over after I broke up with her, people. But as they say, and women out there, forgive me for saying this, there's an old expression that's used. And I believe it could be somewhat unfair to women, but I have learned that it's truthful. And the expression goes, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. And that is an exactly true statement. I dated this young woman who actually got pissed off that I broke up with her and ended the relationship. So what she decided to do, people, was make my life a nightmare by using vexatious litigation and abusive litigation against me to try to force me into a position where I gave her the dog that was actually mine, because the truth of the matter is this woman is fucking crazy. Excuse my language. I didn't intend to find out that she was this crazy by spending 2.5 years of my life before courts fighting off fictitious police reports, fictitious municipal court complaints, and actually being before the family court for over 2 years for a woman I never married, never impregnated, and dated less than 6 months. But such has been the course of my life, people. And this is what happens to many Americans when they choose to date someone who is crazy. In the beginning of relationships, no one knows that the person they're dating is crazy. You date someone, you think that you got something good going. The person may be beautiful, they may be funny, they may make you feel good. And in that ability to make you feel good, you may actually think that you have something that is special, something that'll last, something that's going to grow into something of substance in your life to hopefully make what's known as an adult out of us, to help us give us the family unit, maybe kids, a life, dog, whatever it may be. You build a life with someone. But over time, and I have learned this, that the only way to get to know someone is through life, through living, through getting to know them, through learning their character and their ways about themselves. Over time, I began to see the truth about this woman, that she was a broken, bitter, immature child who was completely controlled by her mother and her 90-year-old grandmother. She comes from a long line of women who were abused, women who have used abusive litigation against men who did not want them. Her mother stalked her grandfather for 60 years until his unfortunate passing. I believe it was last year. No, excuse me. Her grandmother stalked her grandfather until his unfortunate passing last year. Her mother used abusive litigation against her father to the extent that he abandoned her and her brothers and had no contact with them for the rest of their life. Even to this day, her father does not talk to her because he does not want to be involved with her mother, who is a psychopath who raised this woman. However, I was unaware of this. I thought I had met a beautiful woman. She had lied to me and falsified her relationship with my recently deceased mother. So people, in my grief, I thought I met someone who truly was a friend to my late mother. But people, I was wrong. This woman was a pathological liar. She was manipulative and she was insane. And I didn't realize this until the relationship began to pick itself up. So now here I am almost 2.5, 3 years later. And I've been fighting this woman for my right to be left alone. Now, the abusive litigation started before December 1st of 2002, when I won an order of protection against her. It actually started immediately when I broke up with her. See, when I broke up with her, the family wanted to keep everything that was mine that this woman had in possession, because that's the type of low-level, petty, disgusting people they are. So what I did was when my mother passed, she had a dog, a small dog, a cavapoo, and his name was Scrappy Gucci. He was a good dog. But as he began to grow into an adult dog, he had needed a girlfriend. So I decided to buy this dog a girlfriend. Now, originally, when I went and bought this dog for my for my dog, I wasn't even going to take this woman. I was going to take a friend of mine, who to this day I'm angry at, because if this guy had never canceled on me to drive into Pennsylvania, this probably would have never happened. But the day I was going to go, this guy canceled on me. So I was dating this psycho young woman, and I thought it would be a good road trip for us to drive 4.5 hours into Pennsylvania to pick this dog up together. So I invited her with me on our first road trip type date, just for us to spend the day together, which honestly, truthfully, was a good day. We go, we pick up the dog. It was a whole little experience. The dog was mine. There's literally videos where she's acknowledging that I bought the dog for myself. But people, sometime in the course of this relationship, this woman's mind snapped and she started to think that this dog was our child. So when I broke up with her and I wanted access to my dog, because the truth was the dog was a puppy when I bought the dog, I was afraid that the male dog would sexually assault or try to force himself on this little female dog. It took the dog 2 years to mature, and I didn't want to force sexual contact on this dog prematurely, which could damage her. So while I worked during the day, I used to let this woman watch the dog and in return pay her and compensate her to do this. However, when I broke up with her, she in her twisted mind began to think this dog was our baby. And she didn't want to give me my dog back. So the truth was she tried to literally blackmail me at first for the dog, which is of a business we've owned. I don't really want to show that. I've shown it 1,000 times. I've proven it in court. She literally stole the dog out of my house and then began to text me telling me that if I wanted the dog back, I had to surrender my shares of a legitimate business that I had paid, but we both owned. And people, I refused because the dog had nothing to do with the business. So once she realized that didn't work, she began to file false police reports on me in the most racist borough in New York City, Staten Island, and probably the most racist precinct of Staten Island, which is the 123 precinct located on, I believe it's somewhere in Main Street on the opposite side of Staten Island. But anyway, I am a black man. So these racist officers in this precinct, not believing that black men or minority men can be victims, that we can only be offenders, decided to work with this girl to help her and legally try to keep my property away from me. Now, here's the crazy part, audience. I had receipts. I had text messages. I had recordings of this woman admitting that she had robbed the hell out of me. But they didn't want to believe that, people. What they wanted to believe was that I robbed this woman and that I had broken her heart, and I was just mad. She didn't want to be with me. So the whole point of what I was doing was trying to hurt her. Now, the sad part about that, people, is that was so far from the truth that these officers to this day need to be ashamed of themselves. And I believe with the current civil action going on against the state of New York, in the end, they will be forced to answer for what they did. Because what these officers did was allow this woman to continue to file false police reports, even though they knew they were false. Because the main purpose of these racist police in Staten Island, New York, was to arrest a minority man. This woman also happened to be connected with Staten Island's racist, disgusting pig, which is Michael McMahon, the district attorney. Michael McMahon plays like he's the friend of the community. But the truth is, I believe he's the grand dragon of the Ku Klux Klan. Michael McMahon has been historically against minority men and minorities on Staten Island since the inception of his tenure as the district attorney 3 terms ago. Now, some might think that he's been elected as district attorney because he's good at his job, and that's not the truth, people. Michael McMahon has been reelected because he has not had anyone to run against him. That is the truth. And I am to lobby against that this time around. I'm hoping he retires. But if he doesn't retire, he's definitely going to have someone working to make sure he's not reelected, and that's the black minority man who he has violated in front of you. So people, for almost 6 months, from I believe it was June of 2002 to December of 2002, people, I vehemently fought the Staten Island DA's office for the right to my property, which they knew was mine through legal paperwork, through text message from this woman, and through actual audio recordings of this woman admitting that she had lied through her teeth on me. I did not get that justice in Staten Island because Staten Island, again, is racist. I did get that justice in the state of New Jersey before a family court judge, once a trial was finally ordered to go underway. This judge ordered a trial between me and this woman that lasted about 2 months because this woman kept presenting evidence that she created against me. But this judge wasn't stupid. And at the end of this trial, this judge acknowledged the truth that this woman was a pathological liar who was using vexatious litigation to harass the living hell out of me. So she lost her family court trial, people. Not because I cheated, people. The only thing I did was show the text message, the recordings, and the proof that she had robbed me. This judge orders her to leave me alone, and he was so concerned for the safety of myself and my daughter that the judge, not me, ordered her to stay 1,000 feet away from me for the remainder of her life. People, this was not something I petitioned. I didn't even know I could get something like this. This was something that a judge, in fear of my safety and knowing the fact that this woman had no intention on leaving me alone, he imposed on this order for this woman to stay away from me. But people, I'm going to tell you again something that's very true. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. This young woman was pissed. So what she decided to do was gear up for round two. She waited exactly 4 days before she went into Staten Island, New York, into the racist detective squad of the 120 precinct, and to a pathetic low-level cocksucker by the name of Joseph Quirk, an NYPD detective who has a history against violating minority men. She filed a false police report against me, alleging that all the accusations that she had just been found guilty of in New Jersey were false and that I had lied on her. There's something called jurisdictional territory in New York, which basically states that in order for a crime to be prosecuted in New York has to have jurisdiction. It has to have happened in New York, or the events of the crime have to pertain to something in New York. Now, my family court trial, the criminal allegations against this woman had nothing to do with the state of New York. She robbed me in the city of Newark. She filed these false reports in family court in Essex County, which she was found guilty of, people. The criminal charges she was facing in New Jersey, she was indicted with. Excuse me. For those of you who don't understand what happens in an indictment, 25 people are called in. The district attorney presents evidence, and based off that evidence, these 25 independent people decide to indict or not to indict a person. I, the victim, had nothing to do with that. The only thing I did was testify because she was still harassing me. They returned an indictment against her, so she was criminally indicted on felony counts in this court, and she was convicted in family court. People trying to move on with my life, I went to drop this woman's charges because the truth was at the time she had no criminal record, and I didn't truly see the purpose of having her arrested. What was the point of prosecuting a woman? To get an order of protection against her? I already had it. So there was no need for me to go and file this criminal charge against her to further damage her life. The truth was I just wanted her to move on. So I contacted the NYPD and the New Jersey Essex County Prosecutor's Office less than 12 hours after her family court conviction, asking them to drop her charges. People, within 4 days, like I said, this woman filed a false police report in me in New York, alleging all of her New Jersey charges were false, which is how New York violated my civil rights, why they are currently being sued for millions of dollars. This is also the reason why New York won't arrest me for anything that happens with her anymore, because the truth is she's destroyed all credibility she has with the NYPD, and they know she's a pathological liar. So after she files this New York report, she receives what's called an investigative card. This is all pertaining to victim. This is all the pattern of litigation abuse. How this woman lost the family court trial, how she used the police and NYPD to try to bring me before the criminal court, and then how she went into New Jersey, into the borough of Carteret, and used that New York report with the warrant the racist detective gave her to try to have me arrested in New Jersey and file another complaint for the very same allegations filed 3 days before in New York and New Jersey. Now, the U.S. Constitution and the New Jersey Constitution have something that protects one against double jeopardy. Double jeopardy is the practice of trying someone for the same offense even though it was dismissed, and the circumstances of those charges have to be exactly similar. This woman filing a police report in New York and then taking it into New Jersey to have me charged again violated my federally protected constitutional protections against double jeopardy, and it also violated my New Jersey protections against double jeopardy. But people here, again before you, I am a small protected class known as a black man, and in the eyes of law enforcement, minority men Small protected classes like LGBTs, Chinese, Spanish men, black men, we don't have any rights. So the state of New Jersey actually charged me with false reporting, even though this woman had charged me in New York 3 days before with allegations that had been completely proven in court. So people, for the next 2 years, I have fought this girl in the state of New York, in the state of New Jersey, fighting repetitive, vexatious litigation. She continues to file on me because she's mad there's an order of protection against her that convicted her for things she actually did. One would think that the police would be smart enough to finally realize what this woman is doing. New York was not smart enough to realize what they're doing. New York was pulled into $1 million litigation. And once those lawsuits were filed, in the Staten Island district attorney, the Grand Dragon, Michael McMahon, realized the problem he had because he realized that there was no way around the fact that this woman was lying. What he did was order the NYPD to stop investigating me because he had to. He had to accept the fact that she was lying to him. Now, he didn't grant me any of the justice that a true victim deserves by arresting my offender who had lied through her teeth on me. He couldn't do that because allegedly what police officers will tell you is if they arrest someone who files a false report, it's going to deter other people from filing actual reports against offenders. People, I'm here to tell you, and I've been trying to avoid profanity, that is complete bullshit. If you arrest people who file false reports, the only thing it's going to do is deter those who are actually filing false reports. It's not going to stop people who crimes are actually committed against. Why would it? Someone who a crime is actually committed against is not going to be afraid to go to the cops because someone who lied to the police actually got caught. That doesn't even make sense. But this is what the racists, the bigots, the manipulative, biased law enforcement officials in law enforcement will tell victims who have been lied on by the police. They will tell us that they can't prosecute these people because it may damage the process of reporting police reports. The truth is, it's based off gender bias, it's based off discrimination, and it's based off racism. And it's the officers who took and investigated the reports trying to protect their reputation for investigating false reports. I know several people this has happened to. Men who have been convicted of men who have been tried for false police reports that officers have falsified evidence. People have been falsely arrested just because people didn't like them and filed false police reports on them. And these officers, with the ability to actually investigate the allegations, choose not to investigate the allegations. What they choose to do is simply arrest the person, hoping that the magnitude of the legal process is enough to get a conviction. But many times, people like myself get off when they're telling the truth. And instead of these law enforcement officials doing the right thing, which is prosecuting these people who file these false reports, they try to sweep them under the table and hope that by ignoring the actual victim, the person who was falsely arrested, the person who was maliciously prosecuted, the person whose life has been turned upside down by false police reports will go away. Well, people, I'm not going away because, see, my offender is still after me because now my offender who has accused me of rape, who has accused me of coercive control, who has disrespected my deceased mother by stealing her domestic violence record to give speeches and lie and tell thousands of people that I assaulted my dead mother, who stole a medical transcript from my father and altered it so she could convince thousands of people that I was a diagnosed schizophrenic who was trying to hurt her. They won't charge this woman with any of the things she did, but they keep allowing her to file vexatious litigation on me in the attempt, in the hopes that maybe she might be successful and I'll drop the order of protection against her. They got another fucking thing coming because, see, people, Clayton over the last couple of years has evolved. I have managed to transcend what they thought I was, which was an ignorant nigga. And now I know what to do. People, the process of vexatious litigation and fighting someone who files false police reports on you is extensive. And it will truly, truly change you. Because here's the thing. If you're the victim of a crime and law enforcement chooses not to grant you those victim rights, then you really have no outlet against the person who's attacking you. The person who's attacking you will continue that attack because there's nothing to deter them from attacking you. So you have to figure out a way, a legal way, to stop that person. Because if you don't, you will spend the rest of your life before police stations, before criminal court judges, before family court judges, and it will never end. It will never end because someone who truly wants to hurt you losing vexatious litigation will not stop until they are satisfied. And the only thing that will satisfy them is your complete and utter destruction. People, today, I choose not to let my offender, Francina Evans, destroy me. Francina Evans is a psychopath. She has filed dozens of false police reports on me between the state of New York and New Jersey in an attempt to force me, to emotionally traumatize me, to financially break me into dropping a court-ordered order of protection for her to stop harassing me and leave me alone. People, that by definition makes me the victim of a crime if this woman keeps trying to harass me, to force me into dropping an order of protection that she was legitimately convicted of. People, the problem is that no one wants to accept the legitimacy of this woman's conviction. Now, here before you is a black man, rather strong, rather attractive. If the situation was reversed, everyone would believe I harassed her. Why is it so hard for the public at large to believe that Francina Evans could be crazy? Why is it so hard for people to accept the fact that this woman could be using vexatious litigation to continue to harass and emotionally traumatize me because I left her and I won these charges against her? I was incredibly frustrated for a while, people. I was angry. I wanted my life back and I didn't know what to do. So people, I had to find a way to do something that would stop my offender. And what I found to do to stop my offender, to stop her from lying about me in public, forgive me, people, I'm going to something real quick. What I found a way to do to stop her from lying about me in public was to do this, was to create FrancinaEvans.com. Now, FrancinaEvans.com is not a website that's designed to hurt this woman. Because people, my intention was never to hurt this woman. My intention was to have her to leave me the hell alone and go about her life. But unfortunately, she comes from two generations of incredibly psychotic women who have used law enforcement against men for the entire duration of their 70 and 90-year-old lives. They are completely disgusting, pathetic black women. And this is what they do to harass the men who deceive them for the crazy women they are and decide to leave them. They have used law enforcement against their old partners. They have used vexatious litigation. So what they did was pass the Owens woman's family trait down to Francina and teach her how to harass the hell out of her ex-partner. This is what she's been doing to me. So because I found this legal way to showcase to the entire world what she's actually doing, to stop her from accusing me of abuse, to stop her from accusing me of rape, to stop her from lying and saying that I'm using vexatious litigation against her, what I did was create a website that showed the world what she's actually doing to me. See, by trying to lobby herself as a domestic violence victim, everyone would believe her. But a simple Google search of her name with this website shows you that there's a lot more to the story of Francina Evans than she may tell you in person. See, people, she can tell you she was abused. She can tell you that her ex-partner is filing false police reports against her and harassing her. But people, how can she explain the stuff on this website? That's the problem. That is the problem that Francina Evans has with this website, is that she can't lie her way around. What is going on with my mouse today, bro? She cannot lie her way. She can't lie her way out of this stuff. She can't lie her way out of the fact that she filed a false petition in New York because she was mad the state of New Jersey charged her with criminal offenses. She can't lie and tell you that her charges in Essex County after a 2-month trial were totally dismissed and I was awarded the order of protection because the judge found out she lied through her teeth. She can't lie and tell you that vexatious litigation was used against her immediately after me winning the order, when I can show you 2 police reports filed in 3 days of her losing that trial in the state of New Jersey. She can't lie and tell you that she hasn't been advocating to Staten Island law enforcement that I beat and abused her. Because here's a picture of her right here with the Grand Dragon, Michael McMahon, honoring her for losing a trial in New Jersey and filing false police reports against me. I mean, people, how sick is this white man? How sick is he that he would honor the domestic violence offender of an order of protection simply because her victim is a black man? That is how deep the injustice on Staten Island goes. She can't lie and tell you she was physically abused no more, not when there's a post here on her own social media account with the founder of this charity, Warm NYC, who also herself is gender biased. Because see, this woman, Stephanie Regal, who is the founder of a charity called Warm NYC in New York City. The acronym stands for We All Really Matter. People, how do we all really matter when you supported a woman who lied on an innocent black man for over a year? And then once that innocent black man gave you a transcript and proof that this woman lied, what you did was stop working with her, but you refused to help him fix the lies that your organization put in place to totally defame and slander this man. We don't all really matter for Warm NYC, people. What only really matters for Warm NYC is the women that this bigot Stephanie McGraw chooses to accept into her program. She doesn't help men. She only looks for women because the truth is, in domestic violence, again, people, it's not about justice. It's about bigotry. It's about discrimination. It's about gender bias, and it's about racism. And yes, Stephanie McGraw is black, so racism doesn't apply to her. But what does apply to her is discrimination. What does apply to her is bigotry. What does apply to her is gender bias, because I am the male recipient of a domestic violence order. And people, for some reason, these women like Stephanie McGraw, who probably is a victim of domestic violence herself, only believe that women can be victims. Only a woman can be victims of domestic violence in the eyes of this woman, Stephanie McGraw. But Stephanie McGraw is wrong. A man can be a victim of domestic violence. A man can be harassed. A man can be stalked. A man can be physically hurt. A man can be emotionally traumatized by the thing a sick woman like Francina Evans does. See, people, Francina will tell you that she was acquitted of her Essex County charges. What she won't tell you is that her and an attorney falsified information, completely disrespecting the judicial process, and lied on me as the victim, so that the Essex County Prosecutor's Office discriminated against me and allowed her to use false information like that I was a schizophrenic to be acquitted. And for anyone who doesn't believe it, right next to this email is the actual transcript that she altered to make it appear like that I was a diagnosed schizophrenic. People, how is it that a woman can produce false documents in a trial that the victim can prove is false and she's not in jail, and you're trying to tell me that there's not gender bias and racial discrimination and injustice in the family court and the criminal court process as it pertains to men being the victims of domestic violence? You see, people, me, if I had falsified a medical record against Francina for the family court to make her appear as a schizophrenic, I would be in jail. Why is Francina Evans not in jail? I'll tell you why. Because it's gender bias and it's racism and it's discrimination. The judicial process, excuse my stuttering, does not want to accept the fact that a woman can do all of this. No, people, what they want to do is prosecute the male offenders, because family court is a total racket. It's $1 billion system where they know over 80% of the reports filed in the family court process are completely false, people. They know these petitions are fake. But the thing about it is, if they start to attack the false reports, judges will lose hours. Court administrative staff will lose hours. People, the system will lose money. And the system generates so money. Why should they fix something that's literally fueling state banks? No, people, they don't want to take the money out of state banks. Absolutely not. They would rather keep prosecuting these fictitious complaints, these fictitious criminal complaints. Let me take a drink. These fictitious criminal complaints filed by women like Francina Evans, to allow them to keep prosecuting innocent minority and protected classes of people. People, I had to create this site because the creation of this site stopped my offender from using social media, advocating against me as a victim of domestic violence who was never abused, people. That's the thing about Francina Evans. Francina Evans was never abused. She was never assaulted. She was never abused in any capacity. The only thing that was done to this woman is that she was broken up with. So people, because her ex-boyfriend broke up with her, you know what she did? She created a movement called Breaking Up Is Not a Crime, literally where she criminalized her ex-boyfriend for breaking up with her, people. And these people were so stupid that they didn't see that she was literally telling them through her domestic violence movement that that's what she did to me. She criminalized me dumping her by creating this movement and lying and telling people that I had raped and physically abused her. So people, now 2 years later, after fighting family court, after fighting all this stuff, I still find myself trickled down to the lowest possible court possible. Because see, Francina Evans can't file criminal charges in me in the state of New York anymore, at least not in Staten Island, because they know she's a pathological liar. So what she's been doing is traveling from the state of New York into New Jersey, into a local municipal court. The court doesn't even have the power to put felonies on people. The only thing that happens is that you get what's called a disorderly persons offense. So what she keeps doing, because she knows this local judge is a complete racist, is she keeps coming back to this town and she keeps filing these civilian reports against me, hoping that she can get some type of conviction that she can use to lobby herself as a domestic violence victim. As of late, I've been charged with allegedly extorting her and hacking her social media accounts, which is complete bullshit, people. I can't hack accounts if I don't know them and I have you blocked. What am I extorting you for? The right to be left alone? I don't want anything from you but for you to leave me alone. But people, I can't get that because, again, law enforcement, the court judicial process does not believe a black man could be a victim. No, I'm a black male. I have to be an offender. The other day, I think it was 2 days ago, I sit before the Middlesex County Prosecutor's Office. An attractive black woman, by the way, a completely bigot, racist woman. I can tell that's what she is. Even though she was sitting there with other black people, I could tell this woman's whole energy screws, I don't like black men. So this woman tells me that because of this site, they can't prosecute Francina Evans for falsifying records, for lying, creating over 1,000 videos of lying on me with a harassment order against her. Now, see, people, here's the thing. This website is the truth. This website is the truth of everything that this woman has done in the past 2 years. The website is the 100% truth. The things Francina Evans have posted have been complete lies. How are you going to tell the victim who you ignored, who you refused to prosecute the woman, even though he was coming reporting it to the police what she was doing, and the police and the prosecutors were doing nothing? How do you tell the victim that you won't prosecute the offender because he found a way to stop her from defaming him and slandering him online? People, now I got to sue the Middlesex County Prosecutor's Office. This is how badly this woman has attacked my life, that I am literally suing 3 state prosecutors for gender bias and discrimination. They'll claim that's not the case. They'll lie and tell you, oh, we prosecute women all the time. They're full of shit. People, I've never seen a domestic violence situation where immediately defendant is called in for a conference to mediate it. People, I've been arrested for domestic violence. That's not what they do to male victims of domestic violence. They bring us before a judge. They try to get a case against us. They don't bring us in a conference room and have the attorney for the defendant coming back and forth trying to work out a deal. What the hell is this? This woman has made close to 1,000 lying defamatory videos on me, completely cyber harassing the hell out of me. You want to make a deal where you ask me to take down the site against her to help her? So I told these prosecutors, I said, ma'am, you are helping this woman get her ejected. And the prosecutor, this black woman, was a complete snake. She's smiling in my face. She walks me to the elevator and then doubles back and tries to talk to Francina. Oh, we're going to get him to take the site down. So what I say is, fuck you. I am not taking this site down. You can try to bring me to court because I know that any judge, much like the Family Court of New Jersey, who saw this site and said, wait a minute, this is not a lie. So although you might not like it, Miss Evans, you're doing this stuff to him. And under the First Amendment, he has the right to speak against you. See, this is what they think. They think they're still dealing with the same angry black man who sat before them a year and a half ago. And they haven't realized that I've evolved into something much more. I'm knowledgeable about what's going on. You're not going to violate my rights by telling me that I don't have the right to speak against someone who's actually harassing me. See, people, when a woman is raped, she can go on a speech, she can go on speaking tours, she can write books, she can be the guest of podcasts to talk about the man who raped her. The women who Harvey Weinstein violated, they talk about Harvey Weinstein and the things he did to them. The women who Bill Cosby violated, they speak about the violations that Bill Cosby did to them and how that made them feel. And Bill Cosby is famous. These women were not famous. People who are robbed and assaulted, they can speak about their attackers and what their attackers did to them. See, people, all the time, women who are victimized are allowed to use the First Amendment to totally socially trash the men who victimized them. But see, now we're in a position where it's a man who has been the one that's harassed. It's a man who's been the one who's been totally victimized. And because these women who are biased and discriminatory against male victims of domestic violence don't like the fact that I'm talking about a woman who actually did these things to me, what they try to do is manipulate the judicial process, hoping they can get me to stop talking about it. Absolutely not, people, because here's the truth. If I were to stop talking about my offender today, she would start talking about me tomorrow. She would continue to lie on me and say I abused her. She would continue to lie and tell people that I sexually assaulted her, that I robbed her, that I used a dog that I can prove that she stole from me and has literally been harassing me to shit about to coercively control her into a relationship. People, this girl's vagina stunk. I didn't want nothing to do with her, and that is the truth. She is a bum. She is an immature child who is completely obsessed with her mother and her grandmother, who dominate every aspect of her life. People, I saw this. And although I did care about her, I didn't want anything to do with that. So what I did was try to leave the situation alone. And people, I'm not allowed to do that. I'm not allowed to have my peace because unfortunately I have a penis and I'm a black man. So in the eyes of law enforcement, I can't be a victim. I have to be an offender. I have to be harassing this woman because there's no way that this pretty light-skinned girl could be harassing such a strong black man. I'm 6'2", I'm muscular. There's no way she can be afraid of me. How can I not be afraid of a woman who utilizes law enforcement as a vengeance tool to keep harassing the shit out of me? I can't be afraid of that because I'm a black man. I must be used to being arrested and having the police around me. I'm a black man. Oh, I'm used to going to jail. It doesn't matter. He doesn't feel any emotional distress. He's a black man. Black men are used to that. This is the attitude of law enforcement, and law enforcement is wrong. In vexatious litigation, people, the objective is to destroy your life. The objective is to harass you. The objective is to put you in a financial position where you're basically at poverty because, see, people, again, when you go to court, unless you become knowledgeable about myself, which takes time, you have to pay lawyers. In some states, lawyers are not provided at the cost of the state. In New York, thank God, many of the courts do provide lawyers. Actually, in New York, all of the courts provide lawyers except civil court. If you go to family court and you tell family court you don't have the money for an attorney, New York gives it to you. Do you know why? Because it's more money they can bill the state for. It's all a cycle. It's all a rapacious cycle where they are literally allowing these people to file these false reports so they can request more money from the state and the government to keep this process going. When you're charged for a fictitious criminal complaint in New York, the first thing you do is get a public offender who bills the state, which takes more money from the taxpayers. Do you understand what I'm saying, audience? This is not about justice. It's about the criminal system's need, the family court system's need to rape the bank accounts of the state and the federal government by continuing to process these BS cases that they know are false. Now, the state of New Jersey provides you a public offender in a criminal case. In family court, they don't provide you anything. So what happens is many times in family court, people are convicted for crimes they never did because they don't have attorneys. In my case, this would have happened to me had I not become knowledgeable and had the truth not been shown. Because, see, my offender could write whatever she wanted on paper. But when she got to a court, when she lied on paper and said I beat her. She lied on paper and said I abused her. But when she got to court, she had to prove it. And luckily for me, I didn't have a judge who was a biased white woman. I had a judge who was a man of Native American descent, a minority himself, who understood the true cost of domestic violence. He understood that women can also be offenders. So he looked at the totality of Francina's actions and he said, wait a minute, this black man might be angry. He might be unruly in court because he's emotionally involved in the situation. And I may not like that, but he's not lying. She did all of this stuff. So he intelligently broke down what Francina Evans did and found her guilty on all counts. People, why am I made to suffer? Because a judge saw the truth of Francina. Now, I could understand if she had only been found guilty that one time. But people, here's the thing. She appealed that decision and that appeal was denied. She filed multiple orders falsifying records to make it appear that I was a schizophrenic, which was proven to be a lie, and those motions were denied. People, this woman's attempts to deny and dismiss this order have been denied 5 times, people. When is law enforcement going to accept the truth that Francina Evans is using vexatious litigation to harass the hell out of me? People, this podcast is going on pretty long. I didn't actually plan on it being this long this morning, but the whole point of this is to describe what vexation can do to the life of someone who has not done anything. People, I am the victim of domestic violence who has never received the justice of the court that awarded them to me. My offender is helped by women prosecutors who truly don't believe that a minority male can be an offender. So what they do is lie. What they do is withhold things from the court. What they do is try to manipulate judge to make the judge think that her singular contempt charge is the only thing that happened. And people, I'm not going to allow that. I know what to do, and I've done it because I'm tired of being lied on. People, I deserve my peace. At the heart of domestic violence, at the very core of domestic violence, When a victim is awarded an order of protection, that order of protection is a piece of paper. But the order of protection emphasizes something that the courts are trying to enforce, that the victim has the right to be left alone. People, I am the victim. I have never been left alone since I won this order of protection from Francina Evans. She has been after me since the order of protection was granted against her. People, I was immediately charged in New York within 72 hours of winning the order of protection. I was charged in the borough of Carteret within 144 hours of that. People, there were 3 violations to New York order of protection filed on me within a week of Francina losing this case. People, how is this not vexatious litigation? How can a community, how can Staten Island actually even speak to this girl and allow her out in public knowing how badly she's lying on an innocent man? See, this is the injustice of false community advocates like those in Staten Island, like false and bigot black pastors like the black pastor who pretends to be a police lieutenant, who assisted Francina Evans in harassing the hell out of me, Victor Allen Brown. This is the injustice that continues to go on in law enforcement when victims are literally disregarded because of female offenders who the court system knows is lying, but chooses not to prosecute because the truth is they want the minority male. They want the protected class. They don't want the actual offender. They want the protected class. So what they do is continue to allow the offender to pursue the victim, hoping that something changes where they can prosecute the victim. And people, I ain't that one. I am here to tell anyone who follows me and anyone who is going through vexatious litigation, anger is not your course of action. Intelligence is your course of action. Learning the law, learning how to fight these bigots, these discriminatory people, these racists within this system is the only way that you're going to beat them at their own game. Because see, people, they're using the magnitude of an office on you. There's thousands of people, hundreds of people who work in this office. There's laws and regulations that they can hide behind to hide their injustice, to hide the gender bias, to hide the racism, to hide the discrimination. What they'll use is use state and federal statutes to make it seem like they're not really racist. They'll try to hide it by making it look like they're trying to help the actual victim, when the truth is they're only trying to help the defendant get what they want so the defendant can come after you again. People, you have to do everything in your power to fight people like Francina Evans, who use the court system, who abuse law enforcement to seek vengeance against people who want nothing to do with them. I am a victim. I am Clayton Howard, and the First Amendment protects my right to speak against Francina Evans, the person who has filed dozens of false police reports against me, who has lied to multiple state agencies, and who continues to pursue and stalk me using litigation to harass and emotionally harm me. And I am fighting back. I choose not to be quiet. I choose to name my offender by name, and I choose to leave this website up so I can show the world at large what Francina Evans is doing to me. How her crazy grandmother, how her crazy mother and her have become some type of sick triumvirate where they keep coming after me, where they keep coming to petitioning different courts, trying to force me through litigation to drop an order of protection I legally won after a trial that convicted Francina Evans. People, if Francina Evans didn't like the fact that she had an order of protection against her, she should leave me the hell alone. She should not keep filing abusive litigation on me, hoping that she can bring me into court and harass me into dropping it. I have a trick for you all out there. I have some knowledge for you all out there. It's not going to happen. I am going to fight this woman until she is forced to leave me alone and grant me the peace that the order of protection that I legally won against her awarded me almost 2 years ago. And for anyone who is willing to join the fight, you are willing to sacrifice your reputation and your career. Because the truth is this, even though you may not want to admit it because a strong black man is telling you, Francina Evans is the offender. She is crazy. She has filed dozens of false police reports, and she is obsessed with me. She will not stop until she destroys me, but I'm not going to let her destroy me. I'll destroy all of you before I let her destroy me. And that's not a threat. That's a promise to anyone who is helping this girl lie on me, who is driving her to courts to harass me, who is lying on me to different people, trying to lie to prosecutors to make it look like I'm going after her. You will have your day in court because you are sick. And anyone who is helping this girl, you are going to pay for what you are doing to me. Again, that's not a threat. That is a legal promise that any person who has helped this girl falsify information, violate my civil and federal rights, and continue to stalk and harass me, you will have your day in court. And that is my promise. People, on behalf of justice and true victims who are fighting for their rights, not false victims, true victims like myself, who have been maliciously prosecuted, who have been falsely arrested and who law enforcement chooses not to aid, I fight with you. I stand with you. And until we stop Francina Evans, we are on a quest together to get law enforcement to acknowledge criminal offenders like Francina Evans who use abusive litigation to continue to harass people who want nothing to do with them, to continue to harass people who may have an advantage over them because they legally won the right to be left alone, people. When will Clayton Howard be left alone? When will Clayton Howard receive the court-ordered legal right to be left alone? People, I guess it's when I sue the state of New Jersey and New York into fucking poverty, which is my total intention. This has been such a learning experience for me, people. The one thing I could greatly say is that my late mother, she wanted me to do something like this for so many years, and she would be incredibly proud of the person I've become because I choose not to use violence. I don't choose violence. I choose to use the same laws that these bigots and racists are trying to use against me to totally shut them down and stop them from what they are doing. I have the right to be left alone, and I will be left alone. And Francina Evans will stop stalking me and filing false litigation on me. So, on behalf of Operation Rock, people, this has been 45 minutes, but I hope it's been inspiring to someone who is listening. Because, again, my story is true. My story involves the harassment of a woman who cannot get through her head that a man no longer wants her and that I will not drop the order of protection against her because she keeps harassing me. People, again, all of this is true. If they can't prove one word of this is a lie, and as long as all of this is true, it's not breaking any laws. I have the right to name and speak about what my offender has done to me. And all of this has been done by Francina Evans. And people, there's more. I just haven't updated the site, but I intend to. I'll probably do it later today when I get some time, but I'm going to update to include the new documents because, people, this needs to stop. It needs to stop what this girl is doing. And until I can prove what she's doing, I can't stop it. So I have to have a platform. I have to have a public way to stop what Francina Evans is doing. And people, this is it. For anyone out there who thinks Francina is a domestic violence, people, look at francinaevans.com. Look at this and ask yourself a question. Could this man falsify all this court records? People, they have something called FOIA law, which is the Freedom of Information law. In New Jersey, it's the Open Records Act. All you have to do is subpoena these records or Open Records Active, and you will see that everything filed here is the truth. She did this. So, for those of you who want to keep trying to make me look like a liar, all you have to do is FOIA request and request this. They're public record documents. And then you can ask yourself, how is this man putting this stuff up here that is verified by FOIA and open request and he's lying? Here's the thing. He's not. He just wants this crazy girl to leave him alone. And people, I believe eventually she will. It's always darkest before the dawn. And people, my dawn is coming. I got my shades on, people, and the sun is going to shine my way eventually. So on behalf of justice, on behalf of Operation Rock, and with the mission to stop my offender, Francina Evans, I am Clayton Howard today, here with another podcast, and coming with many more. People, the need to stop false reporters like Francina Evans and those who use vexatious litigation is the new fight against domestic violence. Sure, people are still fighting the physical abuse of domestic violence, but the new form of domestic violence, the new animal and the new I would say tool of abuse in domestic violence is false and vexatious litigation. And people, the only reason that it's not stopped is because it puts money in the court and the state's pockets. And this is why civilians, those who are affected by this, need to fight, because they should not get rich off our pain. The states of New York, New Jersey, Wyoming, wherever you live, should not get rich off your pain because someone is choosing to harass you with false litigation. They should do their job. They should prosecute these people once the allegations are proven false, and they would diminish those people from continuing to use abusive and false litigation to come after people. Like I said earlier in my broadcast, arresting people who file false reports is not going to stop people who are really victimized. It's going to stop people who file false reports, because the next idiot who thinks he can go and use a family court petition or a false police report to get revenge on somebody is going to realize that the idiot before him got charged and got sent to jail. So they'll think twice about it. That's why law enforcement won't do it, because by charging people, they're gonna literally tap their own pockets, and they don't want to do that. So people, we have to do that. As taxpayers, as victims, we have to advocate against the people who will not do their job and stop people like my offender, Francina Evans, from filing false police reports. And people, that's my mission. I am going to get the state of New York and New Jersey to acknowledge the false reports of Francina Evans, and she's going to be prosecuted if it's the last thing I do. So people, on behalf of justice, I am Clayton here Thank you for listening. Have an amazing day. God bless all of you out there, because believe me, people, it's always darkest before the dawn. And like I said, many of you out there who are going through your darkness, don't get angry. The dawn is going to come. It's going to come. There's no way they can stop it. On behalf of justice, people, stay strong. God bless. Keep God before you. Keep knowledge before you, because that's the only thing that is going to stop your offender from coming after you. Not violence, knowledge, and prayer. Thank you for listening.